This is the Droneer X501, and it's the most exciting 5-inch FPV drone to hit the market in a while. I know what you guys are thinking. How does this drone fly? And how does it compare to the Vapor D5 and the Nazgul Evoke F5 version 3? First of all, it just looks awesome. It's full of premium materials and some very cool design. And these are the best side panels I've seen on a 5-inch drone. I love how they form the perfect grip for your fingers when you pick up the quad. But it's not just about looks. This quad is rocking a top-of-the-line H743 flight controller with dual gyros and dual barometers, a 65 amp ESC. We've got 2207 motors running at 1850 kV, so this is a 6S quad, but these electronics are 8S ready. We've got a custom heatsink for the DJI O4 Pro and rubber doors giving you quick access to the SD card and the USB port. We've also got a USB port on the top plate for your flight controller. It's got 7mm thick arms, and it's got a squashed X design, so it flies great and you don't see props in view of your FPV camera. Droneer is a new company, and they've been making some noise lately because they've come out with some very cool designs that offer you a lot for your money. Aside from this 5-inch X501, they've also got the X701, which is the 7-inch long-range version of this drone, and the C2501, which is a 2.5-inch Cinewoop. I'll link to these drones down in the video description if you want to check them out, and I do have a coupon code for you guys if you decide that one of these drones is right for you. And if you're on the fence and if you're not quite sure if this drone is right for you, keep watching because you'll know that by the end of this video. So the X501 is a looker, and the frame is super strong to take those crashes without breaking. But what's the weight penalty for all that beef and bling? The DJI O4 Pro plug-and-play version that I got weighs in at about 503.5 grams, and mine weighs in at 512 grams with a diversity ELRS receiver and an ND filter. And if you're wondering, that's about 10 grams heavier than the Nazgul Evoke F5 version 3 and about 25 grams heavier than the Vapor D5. Now keep in mind that the Vapor has 5mm arms and the Nazgul has 6mm arms, and the X501 has 7mm arms. So you do pay a weight penalty for that extra strength. Here are the batteries I tested with the X501. With a 1350 mAh 6S pack, it weighs about 730 grams. With a 1500 mAh 6S pack, it weighs about 777 grams. And with a 5000 mAh lithium-ion pack, it weighs in at about 940 grams. I've got a lot to tell you guys about this drone, so here's how we're gonna do this. Let's head right out to the spot because I really wanna get this drone in the air. Then we'll take a real close look at the design of the X501, and I'll give you my conclusions to help you guys decide if this drone is right for you. And I will divide this video into chapters, so feel free to jump around if you need to. Let's do this. All right, guys, now I'm at my flying spot up in the mountains. If you look behind me, you can see there's a waterfall back there, which will make for some really cool cinematic FPV shots. And there's some zip liners. Check this out. There's a zip liner coming down, which should make for some really cool shots. Look at them go by there. Nice sunny day. It is a little bit windy, and I forgot my microphone muff at home, so I'm hoping this audio will be usable. But you guys, I have been super excited ever since Droneer came out with the X501. I really wanted to see what it can do. New drone from a new company. Let's get this thing in the air and see how it flies. All right, you guys, for my maiden flight, I'm running the CNHL Speedy Pizza Pros. These are 1350s, and they're my favorite packs for freestyle flying because you get a ton of power, they're not very heavy, and they're pretty cheap also. So let's see what this drone can do with this battery. This is my first time flying the drone other than a test hover I did just to make sure I got the props on right. And if you look, I've already got 19 satellites. That's pretty good. The first thing I'm gonna do is a GPS rescue test. I do wanna make sure that works because I do plan on flying pretty far away, heading up into those mountains, and I wanna make sure everything's working. So look at our distance. We're at 60 meters, 57 meters. Let's see. And it's coming home. Wow, it went up really high. I Need to double check the settings because that's way higher than I would want it to go normally. But there we go. GPS rescue works fine. That's good to see. Now, one thing about this spot, see to my left, bottom left of your screen, there's some zip lines. I don't know if you guys can even see those. They're almost invisible. I just know where they are because this is my spot, so I'm here all the time. But that's a real hazard around this spot. We do have zip lines, so I gotta be real careful of that. But so far, let's see. I'm liking what I feel. This thing is pretty locked in. It feels pretty good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's not the fastest quad I've flown, but it feels stable. With those 1850 kV motors, we've got loads of throttle resolution, so it's pretty easy to control. I'm liking what I feel so far, you guys. This is pretty good. We have 7mm arms. We got side plates that feel awesome when you pick up the drone. We've got loads of quality of life features like those rubber access doors, rerouted USB-C extension for your flight control. We got all this stuff, and so it's not the lightest drone in the world. That's the point I'm making. This drone is not super lightweight, but it's not heavy either. They did a good job balancing all those features while still keeping this drone relatively lightweight, and I can feel it when I rip around a little bit here. I mean, I am taking it kind of easy, you guys. I don't want to crash a brand new drone. I got an O4 Pro system in there, and O4 Pros are worth their weight in gold nowadays. I don't want to lose this drone. All right, well, look at my flight time. I got 5.5 minutes on my maiden flight with a Speedy Pizza Pro 1350, and oh yeah, I better land. There I go again, talking when we should be landing. 5 minutes 45, just about. I mean, pretty good, not bad. All right, you guys, second flight with the CNHO 1500 milliamp 6S pack. All right, you guys, second flight with the Droneer X501. 1500 milliamp 6S pack. Little bit more weight. Yeah, feels good. I like what I'm feeling. Oh yeah, this drone feels locked in. I'm liking this. I think it might actually like a little bit more weight. The batteries that Droneer recommends are bigger and heavier than the 1350s that I like to use. This is a little bit heavier, and I think it does a little bit better with that weight. Feels great to me, super locked in. It's like the drone just does what I tell it to. I spin it around, I stop, it stops. I am gonna throw on a lithium ion pack just to see how we do with a little bit more weight. That's a different kind of flying, of course, but so far, this drone feels locked in. I am just loving it. Uh-oh, time to land. I just saw 3.4. That wasn't enough punch out, but still. I'm at 4 minutes. So I've been hammering on this pack pretty well during this flight. I'm actually getting less flight time than my Speedy 1350. These packs are a little bit more well used. I'm probably landing just a little bit early because I know these packs are a little bit soft, but sometimes a higher quality pack will give you more flight time even if it's smaller. All right, you guys, now that we've got the drone on the bench, I think you'll agree that this is one of the sexiest looking quads out right now. These side panels are one of the best parts about this drone. They're made of molded plastic, and they have vents up front with this metal mesh, and in the rear they have more vents with these metal slats. There's some branding right here and LED lights, and they just make the quad look super refined. They're shaped into an ergonomic grip right where you want to pick up the quad, so your fingers just fit naturally into this niche, and it's much nicer than older quads where your fingers would be pressing against the stack and solder joints when you pick it up. These side panels are held in place with plastic tabs that are secured to the standoffs, but they come right off when you remove the top plate. At the rear of each side plate, we have one of these rubber doors that gives you quick access to the SD card or the USB port on your DJI O4 Pro. We do get a couple extra silicone doors in the box in case yours get lost or broken. On the top plate here, notice that all the screws are recessed to give the quad a more refined and finished look. In the front, we have a USB port for our flight controller, and we do have a TPU GoPro mount with an M5 nut embedded into the TPU. That's a nice touch that I haven't seen before. We don't get an M5 bolt for this mount in the box, so I guess they want you to use the one that comes with your GoPro. In the rear, we have this molded plastic piece with a GPS unit underneath this grill, and we do have some rubber inserts for our VTX antennas. That gives them a little bit of flex to absorb impacts in a crash. We do have another antenna mount in the middle if you want to run a single antenna setup. Droneer is using an M10 GPS unit on this quad, and I had no problems getting satellites. I saw over 20 satellites on my first flight, so there's no issues with this plastic mesh or interference with the DJI O4 Pro antennas. It just works great. All right, you guys, it's time to head up the mountain, and that means lithium-ion packs. I'm rocking an iFlight 5000 milliamp 21700 lithium-ion pack, and we're gonna see what kind of cinematic FPV shots we can get with this setup. All right, you guys, first flight with a lithium-ion pack, and that's a whole nother ball game. I don't know if you guys are used to flying lithium ions, but you gotta have a little bit more throttle discipline with much longer flight times, although with these iFlight 21700 packs, they really deliver the amps, so you're not giving up as much top-end speed and performance as you are with the older lithium-ion packs that we used to fly. I'm gonna do just a little bit of a range test here. I got a spotter right there at the zip line landing point that's watching me, and that allows me to fly a little bit further while obeying drone laws. Gotta be in compliance. And that allows me to get to about a kilometer. I'm about a kilometer away right now. I'm not gonna go too much further than that because my spotter can't see very much beyond that point. And we do like to obey our drone laws. But flying lithium ion packs just gives me a lot more confidence, knowing that that discharge rate is more reliable. When it gets lower, it's just, for me, it's a lot more reliable. Lipos kind of have a drop. Ooh, bird didn't like me there. I'm going into these rock formations, lots of birds here, and that bird did not like me coming into his house. Pretty cool mountains here, and I'm flying in the mountains of Ecuador, just about an hour outside of Cuenca, Ecuador, and it is beautiful. I got a beautiful sunny day. Great for flying FPV. I can't wait to check out that waterfall. We're gonna head over there next. And I just missed my sunlight, too bad. You see, we're behind a cloud. Sometimes you catch that waterfall with when the sun comes out. Oh, the sun's coming out. The sun is coming out, and I just missed it. We're gonna turn back around, see if we can get that sun hitting the waterfall. Oh, zip line? Or is that me? I don't know if I'm hearing me or the zip line. I think I'm hearing myself. I'm hearing the drone. The drone and zip lines kind of sound the same. Nope, that's the zip line. Let's go check out that zip line up too far away to get a good shot. There we go. There it is. There it is. See that zip line over there? All right, no crashing the drone today. Today we're not gonna crash the drone. Let's just see if I can kind of close without harassing them too much. Look at that shot. Yeah! Look at that shot. Power lines, power lines. Zip liner, zip liner, zip liner. Yeah! There we go. Get clear of those zip lines. Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty cool shot. That's fun. And this is where lithium ion packs really have an advantage, because if I need to loiter in order to line up a shot like that, man, on lipos, you just don't have the flexibility. I have my battery voltage set up for lipos, so you see that low battery warning? Don't worry about that. The drone thinks it's flying lipos. Sometimes I'll turn that down for lithium ion packs. The problem is when I do that, I throw on a lipo and I forget. It's handling the weight just fine. Careful, power lines, power lines, power lines. And quads, four-wheelers, and a kid. Hey kid, how you doing, kid? Yeah!
Yeah, kid, here we go. This is a fun spot to fly. You guys, on lithium ion packs, the X501 makes a great cinematic drone. It's got the power with these 21700 cells, and you still get some really long flight times. I've flown 18650s on my 6S 5-inch quads, and I don't really like them because the flight time isn't worth it. Like, you get longer flight times than a lipo, yes you do, but not a lot longer. Seriously, it's like a couple minutes. And with 21700 cells, like I've got 5,000 milliamps on this pack, that's a significant increase in flight time. Well over 10 minutes and close to 20 minutes if you're really efficient with a lot of throttle discipline. Right now, what I'm doing is a mixture of ripping, mountain surfing, and just cruising. I'm doing it all in this flight, and I'm just guessing I'm gonna hit, well, actually, look at my voltage there. It's time for me to come in. Yeah, I'm gonna hit about 11 minutes. Uh-oh, time to come in. What am I doing? I'm gonna hit 11 minutes is all. And this is as low as I wanna be with this pack. So here I come.
This is a squashed X frame, which means that the front and rear arms are closer together than they would be on a true X. The bottom plate and the middle plate are both 2 millimeters thick, and these arms are 7 millimeters thick. These are super beefy arms, and it's why this drone weighs a little bit more than some of the others. The wheelbase is 225 millimeters, and this is a long body design, which I really like because it gives you the freedom to run larger batteries if you want to. Or you can just scooch your battery forward or backward to balance center of gravity, especially if you're running a GoPro. I measure about 6 inches or about 15 centimeters of usable battery space, a little bit less if you have the GoPro mount installed. Underneath, we have a custom CNC aluminum heatsink to cool that DJI O4 Pro, which is nice to have because these side plates are going to limit airflow to that DJI O4 Pro system. We do have access to our stack screws right here, and we do have the option to run 20x20 or 30x30 electronics. Back here we have a mount for our receiver antenna that's made of a soft rubber material, and we also have a gasket with 2 holes for your receiver antenna wire to pass through. This soft rubber is an interesting choice for an antenna mount. It flexes a lot more than TPU, so it's not as likely to break. We'll have to see how it holds up over time. I'm running a Diversity ELRS receiver, and I have one antenna in this mount and the other zip tied to the front standoff. With this setup, my signal is unbelievable. The RSSI hardly drops even when I'm flying pretty far away. And for me, that's peace of mind because I can just forget about it and fly to the limit of my video reception. Our camera mount is made up of these 2 aluminum plates with some oversized rubber inserts to soft mount your DJI O4 Pro. The soft mount works great, and I didn't get any jello in my footage, as you can see in the sample footage in this video. This mount has an interesting shape. It has a chin that sticks out down here with a standoff to brace it underneath, so it should be able to absorb frontal impacts if you crash chin first like this. But it doesn't have much protection if you crash straight on or from impacts from above. For example, if you crash upside down, your DJI O4 Pro camera is pretty exposed. But this does have the advantage of being able to use any ND filter on the market, so super wide filters like the ones made for the Avata 2, like these freewheel filters, will fit. If your priority is getting cinematic FPV shots, you might really like this design choice. But if you fly freestyle and you plan to crash a lot, you'll want to have an ND filter or a UV filter on your camera at all times to protect that lens. What do you guys think of this design choice? Our motors are Droneer branded 2207 1850 kV, so this is a 6S quad. They have a nice machined aluminum finish with this triangle design on top of the bells, and they look super premium. I assume these motors are using steel shafts because they do weigh 35.7 grams each. These landing feet are made of the same molded plastic, so they should add some protection to these arms and the motors. They are pretty tall to keep the props clear when you take off or land in grass or uneven ground. The motor wires have been finished with braided nylon tubing and heat shrink. I like to do this on my builds also because it looks super nice, and this method is way more durable than the plastic tubing you find on most other quads. Even the Nazgul Evoque uses those plastic tubes, and it's known as the premium drone to beat right now.
All right, you guys. All right, lithium ion pack. We're not just doing an endurance test. I'm going up the mountain. So whatever flight times we get, just keep in mind, I'm climbing mountains. I'm got lots of altitude. I'm gonna follow this road up to that second waterfall if we can make it up there. I do have a spotter at that little house. You can barely see it in the bottom right corner. And they're checking me out, making sure that I can fly legally. Because, you know, wouldn't wanna break any drone rules. And let's see, look at my RSSI. I'm good. I am good with a diversity ELRS receiver. When you're flying up here next to this waterfall, man, you really want a reliable connection. You do not want to fail safe up here. I don't care if you got GPS. I don't think a human can go up this mountain, seriously. Oh my gosh, look at that waterfall. That is beautiful. And let's come around. Wow, look at that, huh? What a shot, and what a day for it. Now let's come down this waterfall, see what kind of shot we can get. There we go, here we come. Yeah! Ah, waterfall with a rainbow, how cool is that? I wish I could have held it for a little longer, you guys, but man, I will fail safe if I go down into that valley from where I'm standing. If you fly from up here, see this pasture area, fly from up here, you can dive that waterfall. But from where I'm standing, that's all I can do because I'm way down the mountain. And second waterfall, here we come. Yeah! Not the most graceful recovery, but like I said, I know there's zip lines. I know that if I go too low, I'll get a mountain between me and the drone and I'll fail safe. So I am very cautious doing this kind of flying. All right. Look at that. Pretty cool cinematic shots that you can get with a drone like this. You guys, the X501 has really proven itself to be a great multi-use quad because it can fly freestyle, of course, but it's pretty good for cinematic shots like this. It's not as efficient as some other drones that might be out there, maybe lighter with lower kV motors, but you can get some serious flight times and power is not an issue. I'm coming around this mountain a little bit. I'm gonna hit 900 meters. Let's hit a kilometer. That's about as far as my spotter can see, so let's head home. About a kilometer, my RSSI is still real good. I'm real confident with my connection. Let's see what kind of shot we can get coming down this mountain. That's the real strength of this drone, is that you can rip freestyle, but you can also get these cinematic FPV shots with some pretty long flight times. Here we go. Yeah. Pretty awesome spot to fly, you guys. I think I hit that branch. I heard it. I clipped it. Doesn't faze us, but I might have a scratch prop when I land. That's all right. The occasional tree branch doesn't faze us, but power lines do, so I'm gonna stay away from those power lines. You guys, the X501 is really impressing me. It's not the most efficient drone I've flown. It's also not the most powerful freestyle drone I've flown, but it strikes a really nice balance between freestyle ability, power, performance, but also efficiency. When you throw on those lithium ion packs, you can get some nice long flight times. When it comes to an all-around drone that can do it all, the X501 is gonna be really hard to beat. and we're getting close to 3 volts, so I'm gonna think about bringing it in. I should be able to hit around 11 minutes, but you guys just saw me cruising up to the top of that mountain doing loads of mountain surfing, which really ate up a lot of our battery capacity. So the efficiency is there. If I were doing an endurance test, I'm sure I could get over 15 minutes, but that's not the way I fly. I like to give you guys real world numbers. So with a combination of cruising, a combination of cruising and doing some cinematic FPV shots also. Ooh, there we go, that was a little close. I am hitting 11 minutes, and that's as low as I'm gonna fly this battery, so time for a fresh pack.
Now I've got the top plate off to give you guys a look inside. To remove this top plate completely, you do need to unscrew the XT60 and unplug this USB connection. These side plates are secured to the standoffs, but once you remove that top plate, they'll pop right out. Just remember you've got an LED light that needs to be unplugged right here. The stack that Droneer puts in the X501 is one of the best stacks that you can find in any hobby grade FPV drone, and it's one of the things that really separates this quad from some other budget options. It has an H743 flight controller, which is more than twice as powerful as an F722. Now, a fast processor isn't going to make you a better pilot, and you're probably not even going to notice a difference in the air, but the real advantage is that it's more future-proof. With this stack, you know the X501 will be able to run whatever updates and new features come out in future versions of Betaflight for years to come. It also has dual gyros and dual barometers for redundancy. It's got 6 UARTs with huge solder pads to make it easier to solder your peripherals, and plenty of plugs underneath, so if you need to swap out components, you could do that without doing any soldering. Our ESC is a 32-bit ESC running BL Heli 32.9. Now that firmware works great, but you can't update it. This ESC does 65 amps constant and a peak current of 75 amps. A 65 amp ESC is awesome because most other quads in this category have a 50 or 55 amp ESC. And with a 65 amp ESC, that just means you have some headroom, so it'll be more likely to survive years of abuse. This stack is rated for 8S, so technically this quad can run 8S batteries if you used a motor output limit or changed to 8S motors. And we have a huge capacitor right here. I can't make out how big that is, but it's definitely bigger than a 470 microfarad, and I would guess it's between 600 to 1000 microfarad. Everything is mounted as cleanly as it could be with all these components, and the build quality of this drone is really top notch. If you get the version with the receiver installed, the receiver will be installed back here on top of the DJI O4 Pro. I installed a diversity receiver in mine, and I decided to mount mine up front right here just because I had this nice wide open space. That's why I've got a receiver wire that's much longer than it needs to be, so I just threw a zip tie on it to keep it nice and clean. I did have to use an extra long antenna to reach that rear antenna mount, and I used a short antenna to reach the front standoff. For me, running this ELRS 2.4 GHz diversity setup is a great option for a freestyle quad because it's got very good latency, but I still have that peace of mind when I'm flying up here in the Andes Mountains around those mountain peaks or over jungles where I could never get the quad back if I went down without doing some sort of National Geographic style expedition. Alright you guys, now it's time for my conclusions. The Droneer X501 brings a lot to the table at a pretty amazing price. It's not the cheapest drone out there, but it's definitely in that value for money price range, yet it's got some high-end features you usually only see in more expensive drones, like top-of-the-line electronics with an H743 processor, dual gyros and barometers, and 65 amp ESCs. It's got those 7mm thick arms, some very premium materials, and killer design aesthetics with these side plates, LEDs, and a very cool looking design overall. For me, the X501 sits in that sweet spot between eco-style drones like the Gep RC Vapor and premium drones like the Nazgul Evoke F5 version 3. It's got high-end components and a killer design that can compete with any premium quad, but the price is much closer to the budget side. And if you live in a place where it's hard to get a DJI O4 Pro at a reasonable price, the Droneer X501 bind and fly with the DJI O4 Pro is gonna be very hard to beat for the money. If this drone is right for you, I have links down in the video notes and you can use code FPV5 to save a little money. They are affiliate links, but I wouldn't recommend anything to you guys that I wouldn't buy myself. And I do think that what this drone offers for the money does make it a pretty good deal. What do you guys think? How does the X501 stack up to the Nazgul Evoke or the Gep RC Vapor? Let me know in the comments, I want to hear from you guys. All right, that'll do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.